Close your eyes. Can you hear it? Not the pristine audio of a modern war zone, but a hum, the low, strained hum of the family PC, a machine that was never meant for this, in the cathedral of a darkened room lit by the gospel of a glowing CRT monitor. We waited. We were the generation that found our frontiers in the lag of dial-up. Our tribes in the endless quiet of a pre-game lobby. The price of admission wasn't $60. It was time. It was devotion. This was the dawn of the free-to-play shooter, an age of glorious, unvarnished, and utterly beautiful chaos. And among the pantheon of gods from that era, one ruled as a tragic and forgotten king. This is a eulogy for a time, a love letter, for the game that for a perfect, fleeting moment got everything right. Alliance of Valiant Arms. Before battle passes, before every cool cosmetic was a transaction, we had something else. We had community, we had skill, and we had games that could run on $200 e-machines your parents bought for homework. They weren't perfect. They were often quirky and sometimes unbalanced. And yeah, occasionally it felt like they were held together with digital duct tape. But they were ours. They were free, not just in price, but in spirit. They were a declaration that a high-quality FPS experience wasn't the exclusive property of those with high-end rigs and disposable income. It was a democratization of digital warfare, and at the forefront of that movement was a game that dared to look and feel like a AAA title without the AAA cost. To us by the legendary portal IJJI, developed by the South Korean studio Red Duck Inc. A.V.A. was built on the powerful Unreal Engine 3. In an era where its free-to-play competition often looked cartoony or just plain dated, A.V.A. was a shock to the system. It had the sharp lighting, detailed weapon models, and a serious military aesthetics of giants like Call of Duty 4. The premise was simple: a near-future fight between the European Union and the Neo-Russian Federation. But the execution was brilliant. It took the tactical, lobby-based DNA of Counter-Strike and fused it with a game-changing class system. You had the point man, a close-quarter speed demon with an SMG. You had the rifleman, the versatile backbone of any squad holding down the mid-range, and you had the sniper, the long-range phantom who could lock down an entire lane. This wasn't a gimmick. It was a deep layer of strategy that set A.V.A. apart. You weren't just picking out a loadout. You were choosing a role, a responsibility to your team. The game demanded synergy of its peers that its peers didn't. And in the beginning, it was a true meritocracy. Skill was the only currency that really mattered. The gunplay was crisp. The movement had a high ceiling. The community was fiercely competitive and even building up a global tournament scene. It was a haven for those of us who couldn't afford the box price of a mainstream shooter, but craved the same competitive thrill. It was a game that respected your time and skill more than your wallet. For a while anyway. The glory days of A.V.A. were less about the game itself and more about the culture it built. Those pre-game lobbies were our neighborhood street corner. It's where we cooked up strategies, forged friendships, and learn the unique slang in the game. Clans were everything. A tag before your name wasn't just text, it was an identity. It was a promise of teamwork in a world of public server chaos. We didn't have Discord. We had an in-game chat, an unspoken bond that got us playing the same game with the same people night after night after night. The community built its own fun. Players created their own rule systems, their own meta games. We had knife-only matches on maps like Cold Case, a chaotic ballet of lunging and desperation. We had bottle games and other custom modes that lived and died by the honor system. This was a world away from the rigid, curated playlist of modern shooters. It was a digital playground where we were the architects of our own fun. And for its time, the content was phenomenal. Beyond the standard team deathmatch, A.V.A had incredible co-op PvE modes, like missions like Prison Break. You had your squad mowing down waves of AI prisoners, a concept ridiculous as it was fun. These missions had their own lore, unique maps, offering a different kind of challenge that rewarded teamwork in a way PvP sometimes couldn't. It felt like a complete package that was constantly growing and constantly offering new ways to play, all for free. It felt too good to be true. And as it turned out, it was. The beginning of the end wasn't a single offense, but a slow, creeping sickness. Like so many free-to-play games, the serpent in the garden was monetization. High repair costs for weapons were an early sign, a system that felt engineered to drain your in-game currency and nudge you towards spending real money. Then came the guns. Weapons like the MP7A1 were released so overwhelmingly powerful that they shattered the game's delicate balance. Suddenly, skill wasn't the only thing deciding a gunfight. The player with the newer, shinier, often cash-bought weapon had a clear advantage. The meritocracy was compromised. Publisher changes also fractured the community. In 2012, the game moved from the beloved IJJI portal to area games. For many, this marked a shift in the game's philosophy towards a bigger focus on the cash shop, a fall from grace. The game would change hands again, migrating to en masse in 2016 before its first major shutdown. Each move felt like a splintering, shedding players who felt the game they loved was beginning to be replaced by a more cynical, profit-driven replica. Developer Red Duck Inc. faced its own battles, running into financial trouble and eventually filing for bankruptcy. The Western servers, then run by Nmass, were officially shut down on June 29, 2018. An ill-fated revival called A.V.A. Dog Tags was launched in 2019, but then shut down less than a month later. The dream seemed like it was dead. The king had been deposed, not by rival, but by the slow march of chaining business models and corporate decay. Then, in August 2022, something unexpected happened. NeoWiz, having acquired the IP from the defunct Red Duck, re-released the game globally on Steam as A.V.A. Global. For a moment, there was a surge of hope. Nostalgic players flooded back, eager to relive the glory days, and the player count spiked. But it was a fleeting reunion. The game that came back was a time capsule. It was largely the same game from the early days, with no major graphical or engine upgrades, but the world it returned to had changed completely. The free-to-play market was now an ocean of hyper-polished, constantly updated live service games. To newcomers, A.V.A.'s mechanics felt dated, and the predatory microtransactions that had pushed away its old fans were still there. Today, in 2006, A.V.A. Global is a ghost. Outside of its dedicated Korean player base, the North American and European servers are all but empty. Steam charts show a player count that can often be counted on one hand. The global version fares slightly better, but with only a few hundred concurrent players, it's a shadow of its former self. A vibrant city turned into a ghost town. You can still download it. You can still walk the familiar corridors of hammer blow and fox hunting, but the soul of the game, the community, is gone. It's a lonely experience, a museum of what used to be. So why do we remember it? What is a game that is, for all intents and purposes, dead in the West, still holds such a powerful spot in our memory? We remember A.V.A. not just for what it was, but for what it represented. It was proof that excellence could be accessible. It was a testament to a time when a game's success was built on community and respect for the player, not on intrusive monetization designed to drive engagement. It was a technical marvel that brought a console quality experience to those of us who couldn't afford one. Losing A.V.A. and so many other free-to-play shooters from that golden age felt like losing a place, a digital home, where we learned about teamwork, competition, and friendship. These games weren't just services, they were cultures, they were scenes. And when they shut down, they took a piece of our own history with them. We mourn these games because we mourn the era that it embodied, an era of boundless potential, of digital frontiers where the barrier to entry was low and the ceiling for skill was high. A.V.A. was the forgotten king of that lost kingdom. It was brilliant, it was flawed, and it was ours. And we'll never forget it. What were your memories of this era? Did you play A.V.A.? Or maybe was it just another FPS game that defined your early days of PC gaming? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your stories because in the end of the day, that's all we have left of these lost worlds, the memories we made together. Until next time, peace.